Hello, happy Wednesday. I wanted to hop on here and talk about something I have been learning just the past few days. I've been, I've been actually working with a coach for my business and doing a lot of reflecting on my thoughts and emotions and just learning a lot, and found something fascinating that I wanted to share with you all. And that is the positive aspects of when we feel negative emotions, and then when we have positive emotions, like things that we associate with positive, like having courage, how that can actually feel like really hard and uncomfortable. So I am sharing this too because we just had a really great day, a busy day. Went to the chiropractor, felt amazing. Went to Costco, and then I had a little lunch date at my new favorite spot, the grocer's table, with my hubby. And then I'm sure those of you local in Minnesota saw that restaurants are shutting down, and gyms, which I'm so bummed about. I'm thankful they've been able to be open this long. And then we just got a note from our superintendent we're like the last district standing here, and we're in Minnetonka. And now we're going to e-learning. So I feel like this message is appropriate because it's like a mix of emotions, right? And I think it can be really hard for us, and maybe it's just me, but at least for me, it's hard for me sometimes to identify the emotions that I feel. I don't know if you can relate to that, but like you just like feel, I know there's just a lot of like feelings going on with everything I just said, like shutdowns in school and how is this going to affect me, and you just feel certain things. And I think that when we can take a hold of identifying what our emotions are, what I have learned is that it's our thoughts that dictate our emotions. So like if we're thinking certain things, that makes us feel a certain way. And what's really interesting to me that I've learned is that once I can identify my thoughts, and some of them are just like beliefs that you grew up with or whatever, some of the things I think are false. And like we can contradict ourselves, and when I actually took a chance to write it down, it's like, wow, I'm believing like two things that are opposites, and that doesn't make sense. And then if I think something positive, it's going to make me think positive. And if I think something negative, it's going to make me think negative. That's like the overall picture. But yeah, I mean, just with today, with that announcement with the schools, we have a son in first grade and our girls are in preschool. Like I just started to think about the emotions I feel. Like I was like, okay, I could easily feel a little overwhelmed, maybe discouraged, like, oh my gosh, how are we going to handle all this? Maybe fear. That's the lowest emotion, by the way. I have a scale, and if any of you guys want this scale, it's really helpful. If you also have a hard time identifying your emotions, I have this scale from a favorite book of mine, by Gabrielle Bernstein, and I saved the picture of this scale, and the highest emotions, the most positive, are joy, appreciation, empowerment. And that's why having like a gratitude practice is so powerful, because it's literally the highest, most positive emotion we can feel. And then on the bottom is fear. And then we kind of had things in the middle, like I was saying, like overwhelmed, discouraged. And the goal is to identify and go to like the next best relatable emotion, like not just to go up here. We can always be grateful, but go to the next best relatable emotion. So if anyone wants that scale, just message me and say, I'd love the scale you mentioned. But yeah, so I felt, maybe overwhelmed, discouraged, fear, but I also feel hopeful. I feel like we're going to handle this. We did it before. So those are the emotions I'm feeling, but, that's just today. And then I was doing some reflection. Like I said, I'm working with this coach and it's been so helpful. And, so there was some negative emotions I recognized I was feeling. One had to do with embarrassment. And I'll just be real with you here. I'm doing this 14-day video challenge, and it's really challenging me. And like some days I think I do a good job, and some days I'm embarrassed. So I'm like, that wasn't that good. Like yesterday I talked about acupuncture, and I'm not an expert, and I feel like I didn't like have my thoughts together, and like wanted to delete it. So I was a little embarrassed. I noticed myself feeling that. And there was another example where I actually had shame because I made a mistake, and I was like, oh no, this happened. And I was kind of worrying about it. And my coach brought to my attention, like, what are the upsides of these negative emotions of shame and embarrassment, which like none of us want to feel, right? And I did a little research and I just thought that was super fascinating. And so even shame, which like none of us want to feel, is when we worry we have failed to achieve a goal or when a desired bond has been broken. That's the definition. At the same time, it involves a sense that good feelings, but so this is a positive function, is that it involves like a sense of like, I can make this better, I can restore this. And actually a positive function is that it can motivate learning and a desire to change yourself. So like none of us want to feel shame, but the positive function is that it motivates us to change ourselves, to make changes, to reconcile with people, to restore relationships. So that was really fascinating to me. And then embarrassment, hold on one sec. Gotta stay hydrated. So embarrassment, I did a little research. It happens in relation to others. So it makes you feel exposed or awkward or filled with regret. The feeling alerts you to failure. So like my example of, oh my gosh, my video wasn't that good yesterday or whatever. You're motivated by a desire like, oh, I want people to like this. I want to do a good job, right? And so this was really fascinating to me because I wouldn't think of being embarrassed or shame as like having positive functions. But once I did some research on the psychology, it says researchers found that those who get embarrassed are more prone to be liked, forgiven, trusted, and their embarrassment saves face and your mistakes help you grow and learn. So, and it also said, don't perseverate. When you do feel those things, just like learn from them and reconcile them. So those are some examples of positive upsides of what we associate as negative emotions. Another emotion, I feel like I'm getting really raw and real here, but this is really fascinating to me. Like I noticed I felt like a subtle jealousy, and that's not a fun feeling and it gets a bad rep, right? But a positive function of jealousy is that it actually, the reason we feel that is that it points to something that we want in our life. And if we can just simply like recognize that we feel that way and identify, I'm jealous because this person has that and I want that in my life, you can create that in your life. So those are some examples of upsides of negative emotions. And then the alternative is that I'm also experiencing right now is positive emotion we associate with is courage. Like we think like, wow, like someone being courageous or brave is wonderful. But I have been experiencing this, and courage is a step to, if you have a big goal, is part of the growth process, is working through that courage. And we think it's so positive and like, wow, that was really courageous. But when you're actually doing it, it can have that, butterfly feeling and uncomfortable, and it's not fun. It's actually kind of like a really uncomfortable, maybe like a negative feeling, but it's a really positive thing because it's bringing us towards a positive form of growth and towards our goals. So I just thought that was really fascinating that, we can feel uncomfortable and it's not a fun feeling, but it's actually a really positive thing and we're demonstrating courage. Or the alternative, like that I had identified these like 3 negative emotions and that there's a lot of positive things, like shame can motivate change and reconciliation, and embarrassment means like you're just it increases your likability and you're trying to be liked, and that's not a bad thing. And jealousy can identify things that you want in life. So anyways, that's all I wanted to share. I hope this is helpful. If anyone wants that scale that I mentioned, just message me, send me a private message, and just say, I'd love that scale you mentioned. And I hope that this was insightful. And let me know if it was. Let me know if like you have like noticed another example of like a negative emotion and something positive you learned from it, or, a positive emotion and like how it can be uncomfortable. I'd love to hear any examples. Let me know in the comments if you're brave enough to share or courageous enough.